What's up, guys? Casey and George with the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel, brought to you by TSR Racing Products, Champs Performance Parts, BRG 3D printed parts, Syntex Printing out there in Temple, Texas, and of course, Driven Racing Oil, where you can use the code GBR10, get yourself 10% off, free delivery to your door. So, George, man, I know you were watching some loose rocker this weekend. Absolute domination of Peter Biondo, which I'm sure, this show, we got a lot of stuff going on this show. So we're not quite going to talk about that. If everybody saw on our Facebook post, I already said, I'll just settle the argument, man. Peter Biondo is the greatest of all time, is what it is. Nobody is going to argue with that. I've never heard anybody push back on that. And after this weekend, I don't think that's even possible.
I don't think so either, because I don't know if I was watching Loose Rocker or the Pete Biondo show from where I was sitting. I mean, every round the guy was stellar. So definitely was it wasn't boring to watch, I can tell you that. But it was an interesting weekend for Loose Rocker getting wiped out. Everybody involved getting wiped out by Pete Biondo. So definitely was fun to watch.
That's right, man. And all I remember is that whenever Biondo was going to the finals of the first race, I said, realistically, I looked at my wife and I said, he's going to win both of these races. He's going to win both of them, because they ended up having to day number one got canceled. Well, didn't get canceled. It got pushed the next day at like 32 cars. It just went too far into the night. I think they had a spot rain shower. They had one of your beloved S10s, the hood flew up on it and busted the windshield out of it. So that took something. And, at the end of the day, picking glass out of the glue isn't any fun. I've seen that on a test and tune night. It's almost impossible to do. But, Michael Beard and Anthony Walton, they ended up getting it done following day. And Biondo took home both big checks.
That's pretty cool for sure. Well, I'll tell you what, man, we got a pretty fun-packed show for today, if I have to say so myself. I know everybody's looking at a few unfamiliar faces over that direction. One over there and kind of one down there below Casey over there. And welcome to the show to Paige Hamlin and Doug Foley Jr. A lot of you might know them now as directors of the IHRA. So let's get into what could be the hottest topic all winter, since we don't have much drag racing to do, unless you're heading out, Bradenton area, or I think there may be another race going on somewhere with Galen Rollison's going. But let's talk to IHRA. How's it going?
Going good.
Yeah.
Glad to be back, guys.
Well, I heard that. Everybody knows we've had Paige before. We got Doug Foley on the show with us, Doug Foley Jr. And Doug, the first question is going right to you, man. Sort of an icebreaker, since we've had Paige on the show to do this once before. Give us the answer to the one question we always ask: how did you become infatuated with bracket racing?
I mean, I've grown up in this sport. That's all I've done since I was a kid, is obviously race with my dad. He's, alcohol dragster and Top Fuel, and then we had the drag racing school. So this is all I've ever done, was drag racing. And I think I probably did like most other people and saw how much money it takes to ever go pro. And I said, well, damn, I can't afford that. So I think I'm just going to go bracket racing. So I think that's how it happened.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, and at the end of the day, I think that you've won more money than the pros have won lately anyway, haven't you, in the last couple of years? Seemed like you've been on a roll for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good couple of years, but, I don't know. After thinking about it, it might have been cheaper to just go race Top Fuel, because these $10,000 tabs ain't that much fun.
Hey, man, they might not be that much fun, but I bet you it's a lot of fun whenever you collect. I know you got that big loose rocker check, and I want to say you got 130 earlier this year, didn't you, in Galetti's car?
Yeah, it's there's no feeling like it. It's unreal. It's just the adrenaline that takes over, and winning six figures in a drag race. I mean, that's just, for me, that's the best thing I could ever dream of. This is what I've dreamed of doing my entire life. So, it's fun.
Awesome, man. And especially in the bracket racing side of things, where, it's just an area where people didn't think they could ever make a living doing it, but you're proving them wrong. And I guess the first question we have here, is what is IHRA going to offer the racer, as far as, obviously, I guess we should actually ask first, and I skipped over George's because I got, that's how I do here. I get on rolls and I just get to rambling. But I guess first of all, we should ask what are both of your titles in IHRA, and what are your roles going to be within the new organization?
I'm just Paige's assistant. Whatever Paige tells me to do is what I do.
Mm-hmm. Going to be on the business cards at PRI and everything.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
man.
so Paige, go ahead. Yeah, tell us what your new role is with IHRA.
Well, my new role is basically the racer and track relations director. Kind of some background at the Division 14 finals. I was on the track side of things, and getting to know Larry Jeffers and just kind of what direction IHRA was going in. That got me super excited, and kind of the rest is history. So now my job is working with tracks, working with race, or just listening. And the greatest thing about where we're at with IHRA is that we can make it what we want. And so really coming at it from a racer standpoint and from what's best for the tracks. And so that's kind of what I'm working on now, is just getting that feedback, working with those tracks and putting things in place so that we can better support them. And it's not just 4 letters, So that's kind of, I wear many hats, but that is the one I'm wearing now. And I'm super excited.
Awesome. You got anything to follow that up, Doug?
Yeah.
So my title is the director of competition, but kind of like Paige said, is we're basically starting with a new slate. So between Paige, myself, and Kyle Rumley, a majority of our careers have been in bracket racing. So we've been around, and we're well rounded enough to know what 80%, 90% of the racers want. So. It's basically just IHRA's grassroots. That's what it's mainly always been, and it's just our job to grow it, make it what the racers want, help the tracks grow, and do whatever we can to, promote the hell out of grassroots drag racing.
Awesome, man. So I guess going into kind of where my original rambling was headed to is, with y'all being racers yourselves. First of all, I think that's what's been missing from a lot of these organizations. I think there's always been a lot of people over here trying to run their nonprofits and stuff like that, but they're not true racers, or maybe one of them is, or they're totally concentrated on pros or something like that, but they forget all of us bracket racers are what pay for those pros to be out there. That's just a fact. And it's because of us bracket racers that there's people in the stands. Most of those people that go watch a pro race will only go one time, but people like us will go back time and time again. So I guess that being said, what types of classes is IHRA targeting? Are you only targeting bracket racing? Are you planning on trying to bring back something? My buddy Michael Crumpler said he wanted me specifically to ask, are there any plans on bringing back like the Pro-Am type stuff? Will there be contingency programs, things like that? Is that a future idea? I guess what's in the now?
Let's see, Doug, do you want to take that one, or do you want me to take this one?
So that's a really good question, and it's something that we've talked heavily about. I know for 2023, we're going into it, and it's going to be super pro, sportsmen, junior dragsters. We're going to try, we're not straying from the course. We really need to show everybody, earn everybody's trust, show them we're here for the long haul. We're not just, here for a year and just, bail out on everybody in the middle of the year like's happened in the past. So, we're not going to stray the course for 2023. It's definitely something we're talking about. I loved running Quick Rod. I had a lot of fun. But I just think that the times have changed. I'm not saying that this isn't something that we're going to consider, but it's not the same as it was in 2015. But one of the things that you touched on was contingency. That's something we're working on pretty heavily right now. The good thing about everybody that we've got between Larry, Mel, Paige, Kyle, myself, we have a lot of connections with everybody in the sport. So that's something we're really excited about. And, you know, you've never won, or I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, is, you know, if you went out and won a national event and got $5,000 in contingency, well, that's cool. Well, how come that doesn't happen at team finals? How come that doesn't happen at world finals? How come that doesn't, you know? So that's something that we're taking pretty seriously, and we're all pretty excited about that, is trying to grow that program and, you know, give back to racers in ways that people have had opportunities to do and they haven't done it.
Paige, you wanna jump on that one too, or I can go to the next question, but here's yours.
Well, I mean, and we want it to be, you know, we want it to be big. We want it to be more than a coupon book. We want, you know, there to be that, you know, that contingency check. And then also, you know, kind of what Doug was saying. So we wanted to get through the team finals and the world finals and keep that commitment that was made by IHRA. And so now once we've gotten through it, you know, and all the tracks that made it happen, we're so grateful for. Now we're focusing on 2023 and beyond, and what IHRA is going to be. So we definitely, you know, like kind of what Doug's saying, it's like we're going to start with, you know, what is, you know, always worked, and we're going to start with our racers, our grassroots programs, and then we'll build on from there. So the great thing is we're open to feedback from the racers, we're open to feedback from tracks. We're building something that, you know, it's going to be here to stay, and it's going to be pretty badass. So I'm very excited as we move into the off season and, you know, make things happen.
I mean, I like it for sure. Go ahead.
I know we've already touched on this, and but with there being a clean slate, literally the sky is the limit. There is nothing that's stopping us. So I think that's what's like really got us going right now. Is I grew up watching my dad race Top Fuel and IHRA. Like, the crowds were huge, the car counts were huge. Like, I would go. You guys are in North Carolina, or I know Casey is.
Yep, I'm in Texas.
So, you know, you'd go to Rockingham for an IHRA race, and there's 50 or 60 pro mods. Like, that's just, I'm not saying that's the direction we're going in, but the sky is the limit, and I think that's what's got us really going right now.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot too. And as we keep moving through the stream here, and this next question is kind of aimed at tracks, like your Rockinghams or whatever track decides to say, hey, I'm listening to my racers, because I from what I'm seeing, a lot of racers are saying to those tracks, hey, we need to stay IHRA. That's what I'm seeing personally. But what is IHRA going to do or can be done to help tracks operate at a lower cost and even, should I say, function a little bit better than they do now? It's like you said, the sky is the limit, but it seems to me like there's some things working along behind the scenes there, as I see different invitations to this meeting or that meeting that could potentially be useful to every track owner.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we're bringing, you know, to the forefront now, is we're having those Zoom meetings with tracks, and we're having some great conversations. And because, you know, at the end of the day, like we bring to the table, like I come to the table with I've promoted big money bracket races. You'll know this. Doug has actual, you know, experience working as a track manager, but at the end of the day, I think we're crafting we're getting that feedback from everybody, and we're trying to figure out, hey, what do you need? And maybe it's my old teacher kind of mindset, but I believe everybody has different needs. And so we're working on that now, because not everybody's the same. I think treating every track the same is not the way to do it. They're not cookie cutter. Everybody's different. So, you know, that's what I think is the biggest thing moving forward, is that we're here to support them. We're probably here too much, honestly. They're probably tired of us calling. Some of us, you know, some of them might be tired of us calling already, but that is moving forward. Like, you know, that is what we're here to do. And so where we can help those tracks operate better, whether it's social media, whether it's their insurance, or just anything in general that we can help them with, we're going to find, you know, if we don't know the answer, we're going to find it. So it's really not one, like, there's not one straight answer. It's going to be different for everybody. but we're going to work our tails off to, be that for them. So
That's perfect.
And that's a great segue into my next question. It's almost a thought versus a question, but it's something. This is actually what I was talking to you before the show actually about, Paige. I've been thinking this for a long time, and I've told George this, and what I don't understand is why hasn't one of these sanctioning bodies provided like free courses for track owners or operators for things such as how do you prep a track whenever it's super cold outside? How do you cut the glue? How do you make it work in these temperatures? Why isn't there a course on, for example, track operators, putting on big money races? I'm sure you've had some controversy. Doug, I'm sure you've been in some controversy at some big money races or around it or whatever. But the fact of the matter is there's always like we had some issues at a race a few days ago where certain people were put in because there were some bad runs and the timing system was an issue. Why don't we educate the track operators? If this was an issue, this is the step you take. This is the next step you take, so they don't have to make a split-second decision and make everybody mad. Basic marketing courses of how do you find sponsorships for the track or throw your personal big money races at the track to keep the track open with local businesses. These are things that could now be taught in an online format. And I feel like maybe IHRA, with what you guys are kind of doing, could provide this, because ultimately the more tracks that are open under the IHRA banner is going to ultimately help IHRA, and the better the track is, that will ultimately help the racers. So bottom line, in my opinion, there always should have been a way to teach these guys how to always have a good track, because George and I had a local track. I'm not originally from North Carolina. George isn't originally from Texas, but there was this track we were talking about earlier today, I-57 drag strip. It's now Ellis 57. It's where Luke does the Summer Door Car Shootout. That track has never been bad. I grew up at that track. So did George. And I've gone down that track whenever there's dew in the air, and it's been perfectly fine. And I've gone down that track when it's 1,000 degrees outside, and it's been fine. It's been just as good, if not better, than a multi-million-dollar facility we used to race at, which is now Worldwide Technology. I-57 doesn't have tire rotators. They never have. They have a four-wheeler, so it is possible. They just need to be taught how to do it. So I know that was more of like a statement, but do you have any kind of follow-up to that?
It comes back to we're starting with a blank canvas, and I think that's what we're on track for. And those are amazing ideas. We're already, I've been speaking to some these meetings have really generated some great conversations, and really just standardizing things and and giving, because one thing we found, some tracks that are newer to IHRA, there was no handbook. What should I be doing? And we can't assume that everybody knows. And so my kind of job is going to be taking that on and having master classes or just these resources for tracks. And because out of all these years, you would think that by now there would be some kind of collection of or resources for tracks to lean on. And that's definitely where we would like to take things and to make it more accessible. And because a lot of times, we may not have the answer. So, it's also good to refer to, your fellow track operators and owners. So that is definitely something we are in the works on right now as we move forward.
Yep. Doug, you want to chip in? You got it? She got it?
Yeah, Paige pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is stuff that we've already started on. The track prep deal was kind of my original thought, and then it snowballed into exactly what you were talking about, Casey, was the social media and really whatever we can do, the things that the racers don't think about, but the managers have to lose sleep over at night. Those are the things that we've been trying to come up with solutions for and kind of get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, it's excellent too, and like Paige said, kind of keeping up with the times. I think, and Doug, you alluded to this as well. But man, we're a whole. We're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy, if I can coin the phrase from the Wizard of Oz. So, guys, I see all your questions in there, but guess what? I gotta go to a commercial break real quick. Get you guys to listen in to TSR and BRG. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna grab a couple of questions out of the chat. Be right back. Thanks for watching the Going Bracket Racing.
TSR Racing Products has everything you need to make your Power Glide Turbo 350, Turbo 400, and 727 transmissions the best they can be on the street or at the track. With exceptional products, customer service, and over 30 years of experience, TSR Racing Products is always available to help their customers with any of their transmission needs. In-house machining ensures you only receive the best products from TSR Racing. Visit TSR Racing Products at tsr-racing.com or give them a call at 800-394-5889.
BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts are able to provide you with whatever you desire to enhance your drag racing operation. Items like safety belt magnets, nitrous bottle holders, and even quick release delay box mounts are able to be obtained from BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts. Have a look at top selling items such as helmet hooks and steering wheel hooks, which are proven to make it easier to maneuver throughout your race car. You can contact BRG Motorsports 3D printed racing parts at telephone number 765-729-1177.
All right, all right. Welcome back to the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel, guys. If you hadn't done so already, hit the follow, the like, the subscribe, the share, the whatever in the heck you got to hit in order to spread the word about what's going on right now. Definitely big shout out TSR. Thank you for everything that you do. BRG, thanks for all the parts that you make for our race cars, making it simple to move through those things. My seatbelt magnets, man, I'll tell you, I'm always going to talk about those seatbelt magnets just because I don't ever have to look for my seatbelts when I get in the car. Shoot, you get half the seatbelt on and you can't find one. You have to undo them all. I'm pretty sure all of us have been there at least once. Okay. Anyway, thanks for what you guys do. We're gonna jump right now into the chat. I'm on Facebook right now. I'm looking at Jerry Alderman, and he's got a question here. He says, "What has made tracks leave IHRA and go to WDRA? What are you going to do to bring the cost of racing down?" And he wants to talk about some chassis certifications, where I'm sure most everybody does. But I kind of like his first and second question. As far as for WDRA coming out, if you guys want to put light to the answering that question, go for it. If not, totally understand. But the second question is pretty good. What are you guys doing to bring the cost of racing down for the local track?
I'm probably gonna tag Doug on this, or are you tagging me on this?
I figured you were ready for that one. So.
I mean, bringing costs down for the local track, and it's kind of gonna be, the insurance talk, I guess. But just I don't know. Maybe I look at it more of our value is helping to, I guess, from my point of view, is promoting and bringing awareness to what is happening, and utilizing the Facebook page that sat idle. We have 100,000 followers on IHRA, which is pretty crazy to me, and helping those tracks to put what they're doing out to the world. So maybe I'm kind of coming at it at a different kind of viewpoint. But my goal is to bring, more racers, spectators to their events. So I don't know. I don't know, Doug, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I think are you talking about the racers or the race tracks, or?
Yeah,
I'm thinking more of the race tracks, because
we're kind of
comes to the
day and age now where we're pretty much I know you guys feel it as much as I do between George and Casey and Scooter. I don't know if there's any chance of us ever lowering the cost in drag racing, because it seems like every time you turn around, you're spending $1,000. But for the racer standpoint, nothing's changing membership wise or chassis cert wise or anything like that. But I will touch on the first question is there's lots of things you see on Facebook that aren't necessarily true. I'll tell you right now that there's probably about at least a dozen tracks that we've talked to in the last week that WDRA has posted that track is signed with them, and I've got a half dozen contracts today.
So I'm gonna just throw this out here, and I know I was watching the S Word Facebook page because so Star Trek: The Next Generation seemed to have flew through that page there and asked the question. I felt like that might have been the case just based on that particular post. You know what I mean? So to answer your guys' questions, hopefully that answers it in at least some type of a highlight of what you're asking there, Jerry Alderman. So Casey, man, what do you got in YouTube side?
We got a couple questions on the YouTube side over here. Anthony Evans is asking about junior dragsters in general. Will we see changes made to allow 5-year-olds test and tune, and then maybe have 6-year-olds be able to compete?
And that is something we are working on, and the tracks have expressed to us is aligning what we're doing with kind of what you see in NHRA as well. So that is definitely something we're working towards.
Awesome.
Awesome.
So stay tuned.
Awesome. And then I had one more in here. Dragster Jeff's saying track run by racers are the best tracks. Organizations run by racers are going to be the best organizations. I agree with that. We have a lot of comments in here about how everybody's really liking the idea of contingency. Old Racer's saying back in the day he could win as much money as his house cost after the contingency, and he wonders where it all went. It seems like a lot of people.
Is half these organizations don't care about it. That they weren't benefiting the organizations, so why did it didn't matter to them.
And that's a good point. That's a really good point. Just to jump off that, like you said, it doesn't help the organization, so they don't care, but they should care because the racers actually are the organization, and people forget about that. Without racers, you don't have anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many tracks you have. It doesn't matter how much money you can pay at a race, because if no one shows up, then you're not doing it again. It just is what it is. I think a lot of people forget about that.
I definitely think that's a true statement. I have a question in here. I believe this question is for Doug. It's from Jake Hodge, and he wants to know, are you single?
I don't even want to know it.
Are you single?
Are you
I thought he was going to
single?
ask if he's broken any chairs lately. So that's
chair is a better question.
All right. So as we get back on track, Casey, you take it away.
Yeah, man, we're just looking through here. There's a lot of people actually saying, going off the IHRA Pro Mod at Rockingham, like you were saying earlier, 8th Mile Outlaw Pro Mod is what a lot of people would like to see, man. I know you guys we're already saying, you're sticking to bracket racing. That makes sense. Don't spread yourself too thin right off the bat. But there's not a shortage of pro mods, at least not in North Carolina.
Right.
There sure isn't.
Right. And that'd bring the fans, man. The thing is that more fans means more people getting in the street class. It means more people being like, oh man, I want to get my kid a junior dragster. And the kid's going to eventually want that pro car or that super pro car, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's got lost in the muck. I think that the other sanctioning bodies have truthfully did a poor job on trying. I mean, I'm 27. When we were in June, when I was in
losing them a little bit.
350 junior dragsters at my local track.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same way I was, man. Like back in the 90s, it was the same way.
Now there's
just a little bit of
really going to focus on as well as Paige has got a kid. I don't know about Kyle, but I mean, we want this sport to be around for a long time. I mean, and at the rate it's going, why are the junior dragster classes dying off? There's no new blood coming into super pro and pro. That's something that we really need to focus on. And if nobody else is going to do it, by God, we will.
Yeah, man, and the fact of the matter is that pro mod category always has been the most exciting category out there. The cars are relatable. Like even though, like, for example, my dad's got a Andy McCoy pro mod Chevelle chassis, and that doesn't look like a real Chevelle if you set it next to a real Chevelle, but to the guy on TV, it just looks like a chop top Chevelle, and they relate to it and they think it's cool. It looks like something. That you can have. Street Outlaws is big, number one, because of the drama, but it's all they are is pro mod cars, and that's something that you can run at an 8th mile track. And I was listening back to one of our original podcasts whenever we were first talking about Larry buying the IHRA, and one of the things I had said was, if you have an 8th mile track, which a significant portion anymore are 8th mile tracks. If you have someone blaze down through there going even 440, that looks like it's flying down through an 8th mile track. Now, if you have that at VMP, that just looks like a regular race. It's like it looks kind of slow because it's so big. But if you had that happen, like Doug, I'm sure you're familiar with like Kinston or something. If somebody like that guy that has that crop duster Camaro, he went like 183 at Kinston. Can you imagine that? That's flying at Kinston. But if you do that at Galat, Melanie Salemi, I saw Melanie Salemi at a testing tune one day. She had rented the track. She went through there at 206 and it looked fast, but it wouldn't have looked like 183 at Kinston.
Right. Something tells me inside the car it probably felt like 500 miles an hour at Kinston.
Yeah, I about went off the end of the track there once, so I know that it's a little sketchy. But George, let's go to number 7 there. I think we covered number 6.
Hey, let's do that. So, is it possible for a sanctioning body to create a nationwide big money bracket racing program with points? For instance, and we take our thought process away from Ryan Glegor, and I know you're in here. You really made this a heck of an event. I've said it once. I've said it 10 times now. But VMP Triple Threat Series, that style of a race where there was a points program that made everything so exciting simply because I think I seen Stevie Dustin in here. Matter of fact, Stevie Dustin ended up winning out of nowhere and carrying the bye a couple of rounds even, I think. So is that something that you think is probable? I hope you say yes, because I love me some big money bracket races. Go for it.
It's it's in the cards. I don't know when we'll play those cards, but it's in the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Could be this year.
Really?
Probably.
Really?
Just stay tuned.
We've got a lot of stuff going. It honestly really just boils down to the support we have. If the tracks keep signing the way they are and the memberships keep coming in the way they are, then you're going to see some things that haven't happened in a long, long time. Without the support, then, it's kind of hard to just spend money to spend money.
I'm going to say something on the back of that, too, because I've got a question here from Sean Pinkerton that I scrolled up and saw, and it's saying, why should a racer look at staying IHRA compared to going to the other 2 sanctioning bodies? And I want to answer that myself, even though I'm not part of IHRA, Sean, if that's okay with you. But from what I'm looking at, I'm a grassroots racer. Casey's grassroots. Most of us on this whole channel are grassroots, considering the name is called Going Bracket Racing. Okay, here you have before us 2 well-known bracket racing families, drivers, racers, who are in position to create, and not necessarily create, but mold IHRA directly to the grassroots racer. If that's not enough for a track to say we probably need to stay IHRA, then I don't know what you're considering in the first place. You have quote unquote, and this is just me, very, very, very intricate minds when it comes to bracket racing in directors' capacities. So now you have a place to where somebody can listen to what you're saying and actually understand it, as opposed to, oh, I just turn on the lights or I just pay the electric bill. That's the difference right there. So hopefully I answered the question, but if you guys want to take it from there, go for it. Go for it.
The only thing I'll add to it is both of these sanctioning bodies have had many, many, many years to do exactly what we're going to do. You know,
And-
they've had plenty of opportunities. You know, just use NHRA for example. If you win team finals, you go to Vegas. If you're the Super Pro World Champion, I think it was $7,500. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's $7,500 to win the Super Pro World Championship.
Yeah, and it takes us like 24 hours just to get there one way.
Kidding.
You know, that money goes pretty quick at $5 a gallon.
No kidding. And then, yeah, I don't want to go too far in depth because I get ahead of myself sometimes and I tell people things I shouldn't.
Totally fine.
And then I have to listen to Paige yell at me. But
Do what you gotta do. I mean,
there's things that we're going to be doing that should have been done the whole entire time. And frankly, they weren't. And well, we'll take advantage of it. And we're going to treat the racers how they should have been treated the entire time. You know, the IHRA and the NHRA have had the platform this entire time to themselves. And nobody's ever jumped on it. So here we are, and we'll jump on it. That's
true, man. And you know, I know we've already kind of covered this, but the fact of the matter is that even if there's a decision that I don't agree with, which I'm not really a complainer anyway, so I just usually go with whoever's in charge. You know, if they think that was the best decision, then I would assume that that's the best decision they can make at the time, even if it's not in my favor. But I feel a lot better having someone who has more than likely already been in that position or around somebody who's been in that position and thought about it before and thought about this is how it affected me or this is how it affected my buddy, making that decision rather than just having some guy who doesn't really know much about racing trying to tell me how racing works. You know, because I've been around racing since I was 3 months old. I know how racing works. I just want to trust the decision was made, not just at the spur of the moment being like, oh, this is what's easier for me, or this is what's best for me, or I don't want to hear this guy side of things, or, you know, something like that. I like having respectful people in the positions that are actually affected by it on a weekly basis.
Absolutely.
But man, this is something that this is something I wanted to also get into. So one of the major issues in 2022, because of supply chain shortages and just shipping costs and things like that, was a shortage of traction compound. That was a huge deal, obviously, because if there's one thing every track needs, unless you're running no prep kings or something like that, it's traction compound. So what is the new IHRA going to do to solve that issue going forward?
We'll just make our own.
Yeah, we'll just make
we
our
already
own.
do make our own.
Yeah.
And actually,
it's already,
we've already ran it.
Really?
We've already ran it. It's been tested on. It's going to be tested on. It got tested. What was it, last week, Paige?
Beacon Dragway tested it.
Yeah. Which
and
Beacon Dragway, wasn't that one of the ones that? Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay. They're an IHRA track too for next year.
Yeah, we actually promoted the Bottom Bowl Bash, the very first one. We actually promoted that, the one that was like a blowout deal.
I caught that, by the way. Was that one of those Star Trek tracks that I saw? Yeah, I caught that, Doug.
I think George caught it. Yeah.
So, yeah, Cody tested it down there, and they were pretty happy with it. They were very happy. We talked about it last night for a good while. And then we've got another huge mega race this weekend that's not necessarily bracket racing. They do have some bracket racing, but it's a really big race that they're going to run it this weekend and see how it goes. I mean, there's always, R&D and fine tuning and whatnot, but we're that's our answer. We'll make our own, and we're making our own, and there will be no shortage. If you're an IHRA track, you will be guaranteed glue in 2023.
Yeah. So
sounds like that solves that disparity. That solved that disparity in a nutshell, guys. Another good reason to stay at the IHRA.
What's awesome about that also is the fact that then if y'all are making your own, that means, first of all, this is more products made in the USA, and the money's all staying here. Secondarily, like you said, if there ever is a shortage, then you can solve that right now. Just fix it. Have some people stay up late at night.
And third,
be an IHRA track.
And
Exactly.
third, what I think is seemingly going to be a focal point, and I know that Paige, you're probably going to head this thing up, especially as it pertains to relationships. But now you have multiple tracks running the same compound, which equals all kinds of information on how to make that compound work at its finest. You have trial and error here, trial and error there, and then you have a place where you can come and share all that trial and error. That equals success to me. It's the unknowns that people don't get to gain from. So yet another big thing I see you guys doing, especially with those Zoom calls, Paige. So, yeah, in your opinion, though, why should racers and tracks choose IHRA for 2023? And I know we've hit this and beyond for this matter, but seemingly that's what most everybody is going to want to know out of this whole interview. Why? And I titled it, Why Choose the New IHRA?
Everybody else has already had the opportunity to win you over. If there's a reason it's up in the air, well, that same team left you high and dry in the middle of the year this year. Everybody left.
Yeah.
So that's one. The racetracks, we've already hit on the insurance. The insurance is huge. From when I ran Motor Mile to what we're getting quoted now, we're 30 to 40% cheaper with the same exact deal going through. So that's huge. That's a huge savings to the racetracks. We also offer, we have our own fuel and oil company. So the company I use to buy my fuel from, I mean, the middleman you just cut out the middleman, which is, you guys know just as well as I do, buying race gas right now, you might as well, you have to refinance your house. So anything you can do to A, help the racer save money, and B, help the racetrack make money, that's a win-win in itself. And for 2023, the racetracks, there are no sanctioning fees, which,
Nice.
it's $1,100, but, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. But at the end of the day we're not here to take your money. We don't want a single dollar from you. And the reason we're doing that is because we feel bad for what happened this year. We really didn't have any control over what happened. And, frankly, we want to show that we're not here for your money. We're not trying to, make a killing on your $1,100. Go buy your racers a pizza party, or go, buy 2 drums of, LJ1 or whatever you want to do. I mean, but that's just a couple of the reasons why I feel like IHRA is going to succeed. The core group that we have, this is how we pay our bills. This is we want this to go to the moon. That's all there is to it. I know I've hit on it 400 times, but everybody else has already had the opportunity. Why don't you give us the opportunity?
I
100%.
agree, man.
Paige,
go
you want to
ahead,
follow
Paige.
that up?
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of comes back to, we're a group of racers. When is the last time an association was making decisions, with racers in mind, by racers? Larry, I mean, he's amazing. He's giving us the opportunity to, have these ideas and to run with them, and because he wants what's best for the racers too. And I know when everybody, when he bought it, people thought, oh my gosh, bracket racing's gone. He's going to do pro mods only and we're done. And he's going to do street outlaws. But it's the furthest thing from the truth. We're here for the grassroots racer. I mean, I grew up at the track playing in the dirt at Texas Raceway. That is, I've been at the track my whole life. And so, why I say IHRA? Again, it comes down to who's running it, and the fact that we're not doing this because I don't care about the money. I'm doing this because I want my sport to grow. My son is 5 next month, and that's scary to think that he could be in a junior, but at some point he's gonna be racing, and I want this sport to be thriving. And George, you kind of know what the Texas scene is like, and so we don't, I'm all about, let's grow this sport. And like Doug said, these associations had every chance to do something and to show they cared, and it didn't matter who was paying their bills, that if you were making them money, they probably didn't care what you were going to do. So to say that that was holding them back is, I don't really believe that. So, Doug and all of us were looking at, what rules made sense, what can make things better, and we're coming through everything. So it's just, I think that's exciting. And, we, again, just give us, a chance to show you, and it is free. And beyond 2023, Larry wants to give opportunities for tracks to never pay a sanctioning fee again. So there's a lot of, if you call us, there's a lot of incentives to where you never have to pay a sanctioning fee again. So that's what we're here for. And that's what he's here for. And a lot of people don't know, he actually spent our team finals. He spent 7 hours at the gate, just working the gate, meeting racers, helping us. And so, like Doug said, it's like the team finals, we understand they weren't perfect. I experienced that at the Division 4 and had to step up, and where, we had been used to having somebody, and, now moving forward, we've learned, and everything that, some tracks made that decision to move WDRA because of the team finals. But Larry and Mel, they wanted to have those team finals. They wanted to honor that commitment that was made. So, we just asked, we appreciate that they went forward with it. They made it happen. And so now we're, going to move forward, and everything will be, I think everything's going to be great. So I don't know, that's my spiel, but
I do too. And then, going off of, like you said, Larry, everybody was worried that Larry was going to kill bracket racing, because he is, he's a famous chassis builder, man. Like, it's kind of funny. Everybody knows McAmis builds pro mods. Well, Larry Jeffers has built a lot of those cars you see on that No Prep Kings show. I mean, didn't he build Kai Kelly's car even? I think there's several others out there, but Larry, when I first got word of him buying IHRA, I don't even know if you were quite involved yet, Paige. I know there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but this was several months ago that I caught word that Larry was buying IHRA, and I just randomly sent him an email, and he doesn't know who I am. I'm just some random guy. And I just sent him an email. I'm like, hey man, I'd like to know more about this. And then all of a sudden, like 15 minutes later, my phone's ringing, and I can't remember the particular town he's from, but it was just a random number from this town. And I was about to deny it because I was at work, and I was like, wait a minute, that might be Larry Jeffers. And then I answered the phone, and he just talked to me, and the first thing out of his mouth was, I need you to tell people that I'm not getting rid of bracket racing. That's actually all I care about is bracket racing right now. I want to do bracket racing. He wants, like, at least at the time, he was thinking about top sportsman, top dragster type stuff, and maybe eventually, build to that. But he said right now, all he cares about is the grassroots drag racer, because he wants to give them a great place to race. And that is great, because right now, if everything were how it stood, 2 years ago, you have the choice to go big money bracket racing, whatever local racing that you have to do, which luckily for guys like me and Doug, if we never left North Carolina, it would be no big deal. But when I lived in Illinois, that wasn't an option. There were several years Gateway was shut down because it cost too much money just to turn the lights on to that place. But the fact of the matter is, you could go big money bracket racing, or you could go IHRA class racing, and neither of those are cheap. So what happens to all the rest of these guys? Because probably, what would you guess? Probably realistically, 90% of us are just the regular guy that wants to go local racing.
Grassroots. So definitely.
I was going to say, though, I would stay tuned, because moving forward, just be on the lookout as we get closer to PRI to hearing our announcements of the prize packages. So make sure you are an IHRA member, because there's going to be some major prize package announcements coming. That it will benefit you to support your local tracks that are IHRA and running those points programs. And I'm just going to say, stay tuned. Make sure you like IHRA on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, because we've got big stuff coming that we're extremely excited about.
And don't forget about the fact that if you're like me, my NHRA license was setting to expire, I think around May or something. And I actually switched it to IHRA just because for the exact same price, I can hold my license over there and have Top Sportsman, Top Dragster license over there. So I don't have to make a million runs if I ever want to go back to NHRA. But for the exact same price, you get a whole extra year on your license. For $270, you get it for 3 years at IHRA versus 2 years at NHRA. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's just one more thing.
That's right. That's right, man. So no, definitely, I definitely appreciate you guys coming on the show here. I do see a lot of people looking forward to PRI and potential news, as I could see Kyle Rumley kind of chiming in here and letting people know that there may be some more news coming out after PRI, maybe not, who knows. Just keep paying attention here. I see one comment here from Larry Doty, and I'm just going to pick on it a little bit because he's talking about the reemergence of the muscle car, and definitely. As I sift through it, he says, we talk about car counts dropping, but nobody is talking about the street car guys with the new muscle car. They are filling the test and tune nights, but no one's helping them get into bracket racing in particular. And I think this is just a comment here. He's saying, I've been in bracket racing for 40 years. I've seen all the changes, and the younger people getting into import cars in the 90s. Basically, as I continue to go through what he's saying here, I think he's pushing for more of a, is there going to be a way for us to grab in some of these racers that just test and tune and turning them into bracket racers? And honestly, I feel like those racers being in a place where you see everybody going to the track and having a good time, enjoying the atmosphere of drag racing alone, will shepherd those people into bracket racing as a whole. So you kind of got to have somebody behind you to pull the strings, the little puppet masters to kind of do this all the way. Well, you need some of those, and I feel like we got two good ones right here at IHRA, and I know I'm 100% sure that most of you are going to agree with that. So just based on looking at the chat. Casey, man, what do we got in closing?
Well, I just want to jump off that real quick because we just got a comment from Fixing Used Race Cars here in the chat. Says the Hellcats are faster than a lot of race cars they need a track to race at. And that's true, man. There's a guy at Kinston that's got a purple red eye or a Hellcat with red eye stuff on it. And I saw him run foot brake, and fourth round he lost. And I see him going out the gate to drive home, and he's got 657 on the window driving home. But it's like, you're buying a race car from the factory. You want somewhere to race that race car. So you need a street class to race that race car in. And, especially if you could run that, say, on a Gateway, for example, they had their street and junior dragsters were on Friday nights. Now, obviously, that's a track program. That's not a sanctioning program, but that's just how the track ran it. But it always worked really well because, number one, you got all the kids over here in their own area not getting hurt. They had test and tune at the same time. So that's what tracks love ultimately because that's free money. But what they would have is they would have like a $20 gambler's race. Well, everybody's going to get in for $20. Well, the purse, sometimes they'd have so many cars, it'd be like $5,000 for $20, and then that gets them hooked on racing. They come run street the next day or foot brake the next day. I mean, there's just so many ideas that I think a lot of people haven't thought of that I think you guys are going to bring to the table, being like, have you thought about this? You could multiply your car count by having something like this or doing this, doing that. Help out the junior dragster program. Do like Stevie Dustin says over here, have an open bar at bracket finals.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Boy, that sounds like a good idea.
Make bracket finals great again.
Hey.
Yeah. So we appreciate both.
Stevie knows how I roll.
Yeah, well, that might be what he was going for. We got Monday Morning Racer in here saying what's up also. I know you know who he is, Doug.
Yep.
So, but yeah, guys, we appreciate you both being here with us and giving us a little insight into what IHRA is getting ready to do. I know a lot of people have been waiting for it for a long time, so you can see it here on the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel. Obviously, you guys feel free to use this whenever you want. Who do you have to thank before you get off here?
I gotta say Larry right now for, just bringing us on and, and purchasing the IHRA to make it something, badass. So definitely gotta thank Larry, gotta thank Mel, Doug for letting me call him all the time and bug the heck out of him, and Kyle.
He does that.
I mean, we got to thank Kyle. He's been working his, ass off as well. So that's, who I need to thank for sure.
Yeah, we want this. There's nothing, we're all committed, and we all we want to grow this thing really bad. So one other thing, anybody listening or watching or however they're doing this, if you have any questions or need to reach out, you can get with me on Facebook, Doug Foley Jr., or message Paige. Just message me probably, because I'm Paige's assistant. She's just going to send it to me anyway. So.
Yeah.
But seriously though, if you guys have any questions or, anything that you think we could be changing to make it better, reach out to us. We're all ears. We want to make this, the greatest thing that we can. So like I said, sky's the limit. And with all your guys' help, we appreciate you guys letting us on here. This was awesome. I'm sure it kind of answered some questions that a lot of people were thinking and didn't really have anywhere to ask it. So thank you guys for letting us on.
Hey, that's
absolutely, man.
That's any time.
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
I got one more thing to add, and I'd be wrong. I really want to thank the tracks that have, they trusted that gut feeling, and they've signed and re-signed with us, and they saw what we see. And I really want to thank the racers that have been fighting for keeping IHRA at their tracks and telling us like all the kind words, and they want to see that at their track. So I don't want that to go unnoticed. And we can't do without the racers, we can't do without the tracks, but just have to give a big thank you to them as well.
Absolutely. Well, both of you are welcome back anytime. If you got anything you need to get out to the public, you're always welcome here on the Going Bracket Racing YouTube channel. We just got to thank the sponsors again that make this all possible: Ken Jones Performance, Chance Performance Parts, TSR Racing Products, Team 14, BRG 3D Printed Parts, and Driven Racing Oil. Don't forget to use that code. Get yourself 10% off your order. But other than that, George, are we going to be back next week or what? I thought you were getting your eyes worked on. Or is that the following?
That's the following week. So yeah, the following week after we will be MIA, unless you want to see me on a camera with probably some oxycodone and some. It might be fun. Who knows? I might just turn it on just to see what you guys get you guys a laugh or something. But yeah, I think we're gonna cancel the one after. So for now, we will see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you all for joining us. Make sure you like and share, and have a good one.